It was simple, it was kind, and like all things in Dragon Ball, it wasn't meant to last. But that peace vanished under a full moon. It started with strange shapes in the sky. A fleet of space pods tore through the atmosphere, slamming into the soil. They came crashing down without warning. We barely had time to react. And then, silence, until the roar. The transformation had begun. Powered by the full moon, they weren't beasts, they were invaders. And they came with purpose. Their size, their strength, it was overwhelming. There was no warning, no mercy, only destruction. That day marked the beginning of the Saiyan terror. And then it all fell silent. Bodies everywhere. But I was still breathing. And in my hand, the Dragon Balls. The Cerealians didn't last long either. That's when it hit me. I was the last surviving Namekian on the planet.
The city was gone. They weren't invading, they were wiping us out.
The ground shook with every step. One spotted a child running. The chase wasn't over. Inside a broken building, a mother shielded her son. That boy was Granola. Too young to fight. Too scared to speak. The Oizaru crashed in. Red eyes locked. She held him tight.
The Cerealians made one last move. Aim for the moon! If they couldn't fight the monsters, they'd cut off their power. They launched a final blast, all or nothing.
Their light reached the sky. A blinding hit. The Oizaru roared. The spell broke. They started falling. But the damage was already done. Their shot hit its mark. Light burst across the sky. The Oizaru froze. The moment broke their rampage. But the monsters weren't done just yet. "We got him," they shouted. But that victory cry came too soon. Strong. One punch, and our hopes collapsed with the wall behind me. "Let's finish up and leave," they said, as if it was just another mission. The air was quiet again, but not peaceful. And then, through the smoke and ruins, someone appeared. He didn't move like the others, didn't laugh, didn't roar. He just stared, but with something even rarer. His name was Bardock, the father of Kakarot. And this is how his legend begins.
And right now, something in his heart is shifting.
A sudden blast cracks the air. Granola's mother strikes out with desperation and lands. A piece of Bardock's shoulder armor flies off.
But Bardock doesn't move. He doesn't dodge. He just looks. He doesn't see an enemy. He sees a mother protecting her child with everything she has left. And in that moment, he remembers. A different time. He had been gone for months, and when he returned, Gin wasted no time reminding him. Her voice was filled with frustration, anger, sure, but underneath it all, relief. Bardock's eyes shift to the incubator, the little one, his son. The baby floats peacefully. Gin teases, but he hasn't seen one like this, not like him. We'll call him Kakarot. And Gin smiles. That's a fine name. The memory fades, and Bardock returns to reality. He watches the mother holding Granola tight. Another Saiyan steps into the crumbling building. The mission's done, but Bardock's mind is elsewhere. Bardock doesn't explain. He doesn't need to. He just stares into the rubble. With a click of his scouter, Bardock scans the area, but then another signal deep in the mountains. And Bardock knows this isn't over. Far from the chaos deep in the mountains, a lone Namekian named Monaito hides away in a small village. Inside his hut, he holds the last 2 Dragon Balls, gifts from a fallen elder. Determined to protect them, Monito grabs his staff and heads out into the dusk. As Monito prepares to defend his village, he senses someone approaching. He launches a sudden attack, but Bardock, carrying Granola and his mother, catches it with ease. Bardock looks at him with surprise. Bardock scans Monito's energy. It spiked to 213, proof he can hide his power. Monito stares at the 2 survivors, shocked. He hadn't expected any Cerealans to live. Granola's mother introduces herself and asks to take shelter. Monito welcomes them in. Bardock warns them that Frieza is on his way, and they must stay hidden. Monito is confused. Why would a Saiyan help them? Bardock simply says, "I just felt like it." As he walks off, Monito calls out, "Wait, what's your name?" Later that night, Bardock prepares to leave the planet, but Monito stops him, offering to heal his wounded arm. Bardock, surprised by the kindness, sits down. Monito begins channeling his healing powers. Bardock is surprised to learn Namekians can heal wounds with their energy. Monito admits he's not that skilled. It takes everything he has just to fix a scratch. Suddenly, Bardock's scouter starts beeping. He senses someone nearby, and they're getting close. From the cliff, a new group appears, the Heeters. Bardock recognizes them instantly and explains, they're brokers. They sell planets that Frieza conquers. Monito is shocked. The Heeters begin planning. With the Saiyans and Namekians gone, they want a massive profit and will offer Frieza's army just a sliver of the total. Bardock and the others listen in secret, learning about the Heeters' true intentions. One Heeter, Gas, is revealed to be their trump card, smarter and stronger than the rest. As long as Frieza doesn't find out, they believe they can eventually take over his entire army. Meanwhile, Monito, Muesli, and Bardock hide, staying silent, until a noise alerts the Heeters. The Heeters won't serve Frieza forever. They plan to overthrow him. Bardock listens quietly, realizing these 4 plan to betray Frieza himself. But just then, young Granola wakes up. He stumbles outside, calling for his mother. And as he turns, he spots Bardock's tail. Little Granola freezes. His eyes lock onto Bardock's tail, the very mark of the monsters who destroyed his home. With one shout, he draws the attention of the worst possible audience. Bardock and Monito both panic, and Monito, he casts a spell. And Granola slumps into silence. Not hurt, just sleeping. That one shout may have just doomed them all. The Heeters are closing in, and Bardock is about to do something no Saiyan was ever expected to do. He's not leaving. He's about to do something crazy. The footsteps grew louder. They came looking for the sound, but what they found was Bardock, cloaked in shadows, standing between the Heeters and the last survivors of Planet Cereal. From their view, it looked like he was ready to finish the job. Alex stepped forward, intrigued, and asks who he is. Bardock stayed calm, convincing. But under the surface, he was stalling. Alec pressed him. Was he hesitating? So Bardock played his card. Monito's healing. A trick worth studying, he claimed. That lie bought him seconds. But Alec wasn't wasting time. Without a word, Alec fired. A cold, precise strike, straight through her chest. Granola still asleep, still dreaming. Monito's scream echoed, but Alec barely blinked. He gave the final order. That was it. That was the line Bardock couldn't cross. He turned. As a warrior. The first blast wasn't just an attack. It was a declaration. This mission is over. This time, Bardock chooses war. Confused, but not concerned, Bardock's bold move wasn't part of the plan. Is he working for Frieza or not, he wonders. The entire attack now feels risky. The possibility that someone overheard their plan to betray Frieza changes everything. Deep in the forest, Monito tries to heal Muesli, but it's too late. Bardock isn't just annoyed, he's shaken. Not by the Heeters, but by his own reaction. Granola sleeps peacefully, unaware his life hangs in the balance. Bardock knows they're not safe. The Heeters will come back to find them. Back at the wreckage, vengeance is already in motion. Gas steps forward, not with anger, but something colder. To him, it's not a mission. It's personal. And Alec? He doesn't care how it gets done, as long as it's before Frieza arrives. The Heeters split. One walks toward battle. The others walk toward power. We're back in the present. Elec casually asks if Gas is reliving what happened 40 years ago. But Gas isn't just lost in thought. He's remembering failure. A shame that still burns. This wasn't just about a mission. It was personal. And now, Gas vows never to taste defeat again. Gas, now stronger than ever, remains calm. Elec, ever the manipulator, holds up a Dragon Ball like it's just a tool. Insurance. Their plans are almost complete. The hunt continues. And the final target? Dragon Ball number 2. Back with Goku, Vegeta, and Granola, Monito has just dropped a bombshell. Elec murdered his mother. Granola, overwhelmed with rage and betrayal, grabs Monito. He had been unknowingly working for her killer. Goku steps in, urging him to listen. Monito, with guilt written all over his face, explains it was the only way they could survive. Vegeta, ever sharp, asks the real question. Did Bardock beat Gas? Monito doesn't hesitate. Yes, he won. Goku smiles, relieved. But the truth isn't so simple. Gas wasn't weak. Not at all. The voice of Whis echoes in his mind. He's not asking Goku to train harder. He's asking something deeper. Goku's not sure what that even means. But before he can process it, Monito gets his attention. He calls out to him, not as Goku, but as the son of Bardock. And what he is going to show will change everything for Kakarot. Inside Monito's home, a secret that's been hidden for 40 years is finally brought to light. Wrapped in a cloth, Bardock's scouter is revealed, left behind after that fateful battle. Vegeta immediately recognizes what it is, and so does Goku. This isn't just a device, it's a direct link to the past. Goku gently holds it in his hands like it's something sacred. Even after all this time, the scouter is damaged. There's still audio data trapped within. Monito confirms it. It might contain a full recording of Bardock's battle with Gas, the key to everything. Vegeta tries to activate it, but it's no use. Then the little robot steps in. He can access the circuits and play the audio. A moment of hope. Finally. But before that history can be heard, Gas cuts through the skies like a missile. He's not coming to talk. He's coming to finish what was started. As the static clears, a voice breaks through. Scratchy, distant, but unmistakable. Bardock. The man they've only heard stories about, now speaking to them directly. A crackle. Then a voice from the past. Bardock's. Monito freezes. Stay alive. His last order. Not to fight, but to live. Goku's eyes widen, not in shock, but in recognition. He remembers. His father's voice, his mother's eyes. Their hands raised as they sent him away. Stay alive. Over and over it echoes. Not just a command, a promise, a legacy. Lightning surges. The silence of space fades in. And Goku, or should I say Kakarot, finally feels complete.
Battle erupts above planet Cereal. While Granola sleeps peacefully, unaware of the chaos brewing above him, Monito watches the clash. Bardock and Gas have begun their fateful war. Bardock lunges forward. He swings with brutal precision, and his fist lands clean across Gas's jaw. There's no hesitation, no mercy, just raw Saiyan fury. Gas regains his distance and studies Bardock carefully. That tail, that power, he realizes he's fighting a Saiyan, but not the grunt he expected. Bardock's strength forces him to reconsider everything he thought he knew. And now, he knows this isn't just survival, it's war. Gas wastes no time. With a surge of energy, he launches a devastating blast. Bardock dives out of the way, the explosion ripping the ground behind him. Bardock slams his fist deep into Gas's gut, bending him forward with a shockwave of pain. He spins midair, landing a second crushing blow that sends Gas spiraling through the sky. This isn't just strength. It's willpower. It's Bardock refusing to fall. The smoke hasn't even cleared. But Bardock already knows. That blast wasn't enough to finish Gas. Catching his breath midair. With one final glance at the child he's trying to protect, Bardock delivers a line that echoes across generations. Listen to me. You two have to stay alive. He clenches his fists and charges back into battle, ready to face the monster alone. Gas erupts from the smoke without a scratch. Eyes locked on Bardock like a predator with a mission. To him, this isn't personal. It's a task, and he's going to finish it without hesitation. He reminds himself, he can't afford to fail. Not in front of Electric. Bardock watches in disbelief. Not even a mark on him. What kind of monster is this? Gas doesn't waste words. He forms a weapon in the air, a spiked club glowing with raw energy. Monito grips Granola tighter, the sight of it sending chills down his spine. Bardock squares up again, undeterred. This isn't about winning anymore. It's about standing his ground. Monito shouts, telling Bardock he's done enough. He pleads for him to run to survive. But Bardock doesn't flinch. He doesn't even seem to register the words. He's made up his mind, and no one's changing it. Bardock fires a massive ki blast straight at Gas. Gas dodging without flinching, and before Bardock can react, the spiked club comes swinging straight at his head. Gas brings his spiked club crashing down, and Bardock barely blocks it. But as Gas presses forward, Bardock grabs the club and swings Gas up into the air. Bardock throws Gas back. Turning to Monito, he shouts. Even as Gas mocks his weak punches, Bardock doesn't care. He charges, screaming with pride. Gas explodes in rage, his aura flaring. He's done playing around. Bardock braces as Gas reveals his true form, bulging with power and rage. This is no longer a fight, it's survival. Far away, Monito makes a desperate move. The Dragon Balls, normally forbidden, might just be his only hope. This wish isn't for him. It's to save Bardock. Bardock loses his scouter and nearly his life, but he smirks through the pain. Gas boasts about his untapped power, thinking Bardock has broken, but Bardock rises again. Gas isn't done yet. With one savage strike, he launches Bardock like a ragdoll into the cliffs. And just as Bardock crashes into the earth, something ancient begins to awaken. The wish has been made, and Taranbo is rising. Monito played his final card. Summoning the mighty dragon Taranbo, he made a desperate wish. Not for revenge, not for power, but to save Bardock's life. To send him back home, far away from the battlefield. Because right now, Bardock was not having the best time of his life. Bardock staggers, his body's screaming, bruised, beaten, but he doesn't fall. Just then, something shifts. A voice cuts through the battlefield. It isn't Gas, it isn't Monito. It's something ancient, something divine. Bardock freezes for a split second, confused, listening. The voice speaks directly to him. A strange calm settles in his eyes. Gas watches, momentarily unsure what's going on. Bardock's heart pounds, not from fear, but from the realization someone, or something, just spoke his name. And it wasn't from this world. Gas halts, eyes wide. For the first time in this battle, he's distracted. What is that? He looks up to see the divine dragon hovering over the trees. Confused, he demands, "Who is he speaking to?" Monito doesn't answer. His eyes stay locked on Taranbo. Taranbo goes silent. Then, in a low, rumbling voice, the dragon speaks. A miracle was on the table, a chance to escape death, offered by the gods themselves. But Bardock turned it down. Monito stares in disbelief. Even the dragon lingers a moment, unsure how to process that kind of pride. Bardock wouldn't run. He chose to stay and fight, no matter what it costs. With nothing but shredded armor and a bloodied fist, Bardock launches forward, into Gas, again and again, but Bardock doesn't stop. He's not fighting to win. He's fighting because it's who he is. Gas's kick lands clean. Another voice, another echo. And he's had enough. Monito's whispers aren't comforting, they're distractions. Monito pleads with Bardock to live, not for pride, not for vengeance, but because he believes there's something good left in the Saiyan's heart, something worth saving. But Bardock isn't listening. He stares down the battlefield. He's made his choice. This fight isn't over, not until Gas falls. Monito's voice trembles with desperation, offering another wish. But Bardock's silence says it all. Bardock looks away. He's not interested in escape, never been. As Monito tries to offer him help one last time, Bardock answers in the only way a true Saiyan would, with a wish for his sons. Not for himself, not for revenge, but for them to thrive. And as he's thrown once again across the battlefield, it's clear he's willing to take the pain if it means carving a path forward. The Heeters observe from a distance. To them, this fight has dragged on too long. But something about that glow makes them uneasy. One of them mocks the moment, mistaking it for a shooting star. But deep down, they all sense it. As the others prepare to welcome Frieza's ship, Elec pauses. He wants to see the source of that strange energy for himself. Meanwhile, Monito stands alone beside a sleeping Granola, consumed by guilt. Gas descends like a meteor. He's done playing games. Bardock is right in his path. There's no hesitation now. Gas is out to finish this in one blow. Bardock is slammed into the ground. His vision blurs. But in that chaos, one thing remains unshaken. He's not going down. Gas floats down. Bardock lies face first in the dirt, his body refusing to stand up. Gas seizes Bardock's tail, lifting him effortlessly. Bardock's body dangles, battered and vulnerable. Gas's expression remains cold, calculating. Gas holds Bardock's severed tail aloft, a grim trophy. Bardock, bloodied and bruised, struggles to rise. Gas's eyes narrow. This ends now. A sudden flash. A spear hurtles through the air, striking Monito's shoulder. He collapses, shielding Bardock with his own body. Monito, wounded yet resolute, stands between Bardock and Gas. His gaze is steady, unwavering. Gas's aura grows bigger. Bardock throws himself, protecting Monito from the punch. But he's too slow. Gas crashes into them both. The impact sends them flying, crashing through the dirt. Bardock calls out in panic. Monito is nowhere to be seen. But there's no time to search. Gas grabs him by the neck. With fury in his eyes, he starts squeezing. He mocks Bardock. Even while getting crushed, Bardock speaks with resolve. He tightens his grip, but not in fear. A golden blast explodes from his body. The shockwave rips through the mountain. The whole ground shakes. Bardock charges. He breaks through Gas's guard and slams his fist into his gut. A clean hit, a real hit. He's not just surviving, he's fighting back. With one huge kick, Bardock sends Gas flying. The heater bounces off the cliff, his landing explosive. Bardock watches, breathing heavy but steady. Gas is hurt for real this time, and he knows it. Gas tries to make sense of it. Why is Bardock still standing? He demands an answer. What's the point of this fight? Bardock stares back, quiet and calm. No regrets, no drama, just one word. No. Bardock stands strong. Gas roars in frustration, demanding answers. But Bardock's silence says it all. This isn't about reasons, it's about survival. About instinct. And Bardock's instincts will not let him fall. Gas lunges like an unleashed beast, but Bardock meets him head-on. No hesitation, no second guessing. Only the raw will to win. To Bardock, nothing else matters. Victory is not a question. It's survival itself. Fists collide. Shockwaves tear through the air. Bardock presses forward, refusing to give ground. He doesn't fight for pride. He doesn't fight for glory. He fights because that's what a true Saiyan does. When an enemy stands before you, you bring them down. The impact shakes the battlefield. Gas stumbles, struggling to understand the impossible. But Bardock knows the secret of the Saiyans. They push past their limits. They rise when others break. Gas sees it now, and it terrifies him. Gas snaps, losing control of the beast inside him, but Bardock is ready. With relentless power, he strikes down the raging monster. No mercy, no fear. Only the unbreakable spirit of a warrior who refuses to die. Gas stumbles and roars, thrashing against the dirt in a wild rage. But Bardock doesn't flinch. He rises above it, the embodiment of a Saiyan's unstoppable will, and drives a punishing blow straight into Gas, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The battle reaches its breaking point. Bardock blasts Gas into the ground again and again. Each strike isn't just a blow to Gas. It's a reminder. No limits can hold a true Saiyan's back. Above them, Elec watches coldly, realizing Gas has completely lost control. The Heeters' weapon, now reduced to a raging beast, lies broken in the crater. Elec steps forward, not out of mercy, but disappointment. As Bardock gasps for air, battered but victorious, Elec mocks him. The mask drops. Loyalty was never real. For Elec, business always came first, and Saiyans like Bardock were nothing more than pawns in a much bigger plan. The deception stings, but Bardock doesn't have time to react. Without warning, Elec draws a hidden weapon and fires. The shot pierces the night sky, and Bardock falls, caught off guard by the treachery he refused to believe was real. Bardock crashes into the earth, barely alive. Elec fires again, missing, and curses under his breath. A call from Mackie interrupts him. Frieza's ship is approaching. Annoyed, Elec spits out one last insult, then vanishes into the night. Bardock lies broken, but not defeated. Alone and battered, Bardock gasps for air. Above him, Elec retreats with gas in tow, disappearing into the stars. The forest falls silent. Only the sound of Bardock's ragged breathing remains. From the shadows, Minato emerges, dragging his battered body toward Bardock. The old Namekian collapses beside him, barely able to speak. But they are alive, bruised, bloodied, and alive. The battle is over. But a different kind of struggle is about to begin. And suddenly, we're not on planet Cereal anymore. The faint beeping of Bardock's old scouter echoes in Goku's ears. Standing beside Minato in the ruins, Goku stares at the dusty relic, and something stirs deep inside him. Memories long buried flood to the surface. Visions of a tiny pod, a father's battle-worn hand, a farewell without words, the instincts of a Saiyan warrior, passed down from a father he never knew. In his mind's eye, Goku sees it clearly. Bardock's rugged face, hardened by war, but softened by something far stronger: hope. As the pod door seals shut, Bardock and Gin watch in silence, sending their son not just to survive, and the wish from his father to thrive.